Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the Fantasy Fellow Show. My name is Kyle, and tonight I'm wrapping up my 32 teams fantasy football previews. We're going to go over the NFC West tonight. I'm working on the San Francisco 49ers in this video. We'll look at we're going to look at the depth chart. We're going to talk about the draft class. We'll look at the guys that they added and lost in free agency, and we're just going to throw out the names that I'm keying in on for drafting in fantasy football this season. So just a quick question off the top. How many games do you think Trey Lance will play for the 49ers this year? You guys can comment below. I really don't know. I think they're going to give Jimmy Garoppolo as much room as he can to succeed. He doesn't, tend to get injured every now and then, and that might do enough to get Trey Lance on the field. But just a quick question, how many games Trey Lance will play for us for the 49ers this season? And then before we start talking about these notable additions here, I just want to talk about this 2021 draft kit here. It's on the fantasyfellowship.com. I do have a link in the description below. You can click it here on the main tab of the homepage too. But you're going to subscribe. You're going to hit fill out the information for $15. It's going to be $15 for only June and July. In August, it would be up to $20. So it does make sense to get in on the game early. Just a one-time payment, and it's going to have, I'll show you this other tab here. When you do get into it, you just click back into the draft, and once you're subscribed, you'll be able to access it. But we have my 2021 projections document. You can click the link there. I have my best ball ownership up here for now. The fantasy database is the last 4 seasons of fantasy numbers. It's kind of nice to look back and see everything with all the numbers that I care about. And then I'm working on these opportunity reports, which if you click through it, there's some really good information in here that's going to tell you basically who is a running back one. We're looking at opportunity share and just looking and knowing what these percentages are next year. For next year, I will upload my 2021 opportunity numbers, and we'll talk about those guys and see who I think is going to be the players that I really, really want for fantasy football this year. So check out the draft kit. And now let's get into the main topic here, the 49ers. The notable additions were center Alex Mack, linebacker Samson Ubakam, defensive tackle DJ Jones, cornerback Kawan Williams, and running back Wayne Gallman. Notable departures, Kendrick Bourne, Kerry Hyder, CJ Beathard, Akello Witherspoon, Solomon Thomas, Tevin Coleman, and Jerick McKinnon. So we lose a couple running backs, lose a nice veteran receiver, Kendrick Bourne. Nothing too crazy here in the departures. Adding Alex Mack is a really nice move. Samson and DJ Jones and Kawan Williams could be nice defensive pieces. And Wayne Gallman right now is going to serve as the running back too. So there was an injury to Jeffrey Wilson. I'm not sure if we're going to see him back at some point this season. I think he's out for a while, at least maybe the first half of the year he's going to be out. So Wayne Gallman's going to fight for that number 2, number 3 spot. So let's look at this draft class real quick. And of course, they traded up to get Trey Lance. And everyone thinking Mac Jones, who's he going to be? Who's he going to be? It is Trey Lance. And I'm actually very excited about this pick. He's my number 2 pick in Superflex Dynasty Leagues. He's probably the quarterback. I get it. Trevor Lawrence is going to be a lot of fun to watch too, but I think I'm more excited to see what Trey Lance does with this offense in the Kyle Shanahan system. We've seen the prototypical, we've seen Jimmy Garoppolo. We've seen kind of Matt Ryan, Kirk Cousins, but the 1 year with RG3, Kyle Shanahan's offense produced elite numbers for RG3. So Trey Lance, just keep an open mind. I think Trey Lance is going to be a nice player for the 49ers down the stretch. So I love the pick. Round 2, offensive guard Aaron Banks. Just keep plugging in offensive line. That's always a good decision early in the draft. Now, running back in the 3rd round, Trey Sermon. Before the draft, I think he was my running back number 4. After the draft, RB3. I love this fit. And then now with Jeff Wilson going down for a little bit, Trey Sermon's going to probably walk into this training camp and come out as the number 2 running back. At worst, he's a number 3 for Dynasty Leagues. I'm taking him as a nice piece, but I ultimately think Trey Sermon is a better talent, and talent usually wins out. And in this Kyle Shanahan offense, man, running backs just get tons of production and fantasy points. So keep an eye on Trey Sermon. He seems to have a pretty high draft capital this year. I think I'm seeing him in the 8th, 9th, 10th round of best ball leagues right now. In the 3rd round, they continue to get another pick here, cornerback Ambry Thomas out of Michigan. They skip the 4th round and get 3 picks in the 5th. Offensive guard Jalen Moore, cornerback Diamador Lenore, safety Talanoa Hufanga out of USC, and then the last pick of the draft, running back Elijah Mitchell out of Louisiana, who's actually, I'm hearing some good buzz. So we did lose Jerick McKinnon and Tevin Coleman. Now, these guys were, the prototypical PPR satellite backs for this offense, and Elijah Mitchell can kind of do that too. So he's going to probably compete with JaMycal Hasty for a third down pass catching role. But I do think Trey Sermon, Raheem Mostert, Wayne Gallman, those are going to be the main primary runners. So overall, this was a really good draft class. I'm super excited about Trey Lance. They get a guard, they get Trey Sermon. This offense is going to be fun to watch. A lot of young talent here. And then when we factor in Debo, Ayuk, and George Kittle, oh my God, it's going to be fun. So the 49ers, I have Jimmy Garoppolo and Trey Lance listed as co-starters. I do not have a prediction as far as how many games Garoppolo is going to play versus Lance. I think I did it kind of like a 50-50 split for now. It wouldn't surprise me if they just decide to go with Trey Lance right away and move Jimmy Garoppolo if there's an injury in training camp or whatever happens. But for me right now, I'm not really excited to draft. I'm not going to draft Jimmy Garoppolo. If anything, I'm drafting Trey Lance really, really late in best ball leagues right now. Even in, I guess, in Superflex redraft leagues, like you probably should pencil him in as one of your last picks of the draft. Just hold on to him. He could be a lot of fun. I think people who held on to Tua Tagovailoa in Superflex leagues know what I'm talking about. This is the guy here that could get a chance to start sooner than we think. And then from then on, it's the Konami code with the rushing stats, and it could be a lot of fun. So I'm saying no to Jimmy G. Give me Trey Lance towards the end of my drafts. Nick Mullins, Josh Rosen, Josh Johnson, Nate Sudfeld, a lot of backups there, but it's all about Jimmy and Trey Lance. Running backs, Raheem Mostert. I should probably update Jeff Wilson in red there and make sure that you guys know he's injured. Trey Sermon in the third round. Backups are Wayne Gallman, JaMycal Hasty, Josh Hokett, and Elijah Mitchell. Really good group of running backs here. I'm assuming Raheem Mostert's going to get the lion's share of the work. Again, we have seen him injured up the last couple of seasons. So for pecking order, to me, it's going to be Mostert, Trey Sermon, and Wayne Gallman are the lead for carries. And then we'll see if Elijah Mitchell or JaMycal Hasty can make a mark in the receptions. But Mostert and Trey Sermon and Gallman, they're all really good pass catchers too. So it's kind of like this big jumbled up mess here at running back. I'm not as excited to draft Raheem Mostert, but if you kind of need running backs in the middle of the draft, I'm fine with Raheem. He could, especially no Jeff Wilson, he could just dominate. He is clearly the best back on this team right now, I think, in Raheem Mostert. If he stays healthy, he could just continue to eat. But Sermon, I'm interested in towards, the middle of the late rounds here. But I do think Sermon's my preferred dynasty play, and maybe for redraft, I'll stay away this year, maybe try to pick him up on waivers if I can. Kyle Juszczyk is still there. Now, the receivers, I don't care which one you want to take. I think you need to make a plan for Debo or Ayuk. You should have San Francisco 49er wide receiver penciled in into your draft plans. And if Samuel goes, just go get Ayuk. If you still see both of these guys available, I do it's pick your poison. Both guys were really good in spurts last year. Brandon Ayuk stayed healthy for the most part. Debo Samuel kind of got dinged up. So if you want to play the injury card, I guess you could wait for Brandon Ayuk, but either way, I'm excited about both of these receivers. And just when I'm thinking about an offense and I'm like, okay, what's the most consistent thing that's going to help me this season? It's George Kittle, number one. Like, that's the one 49er you want for sure. And then it's probably Debo and Ayuk. The running backs are going to be kind of like a whack-a-mole situation where we don't know who's going to do what. And then I think until Trey Lance becomes quarterback, I'm not going to want 49ers quarterback. So if you can build a draft plan to get one of the pass weapons, Kittle, Samuel, Ayuk, and then try to hit on a Mostert or a Sermon or a Trey Lance later in your draft, I think that's probably the path that I'm looking to do it. But I just want to show you guys my projections real quick. And then if you guys do sign up for the 2021 draft kit, this is the document that you're going to get access to. It's a Google Sheet document. I do have the tabs. I don't know if you can see it on the screen, but I do have tabs on the bottom of the screen where you can filter by position. You have all your filter tabs up here. I think right now I have this set for PPR. Let me just hit PPR and make sure I'm on PPR. You go to Z to A to get the most points. But let's look at the receiver tab real quick, because this is where I have the 49er guys here. I have Debo Samuel, wide receiver 26, Brandon Ayuk, wide receiver 30. Now, I could totally see Brandon Ayuk scoring more points. That would take a Debo Samuel injury. Again, Debo was dinged up last year, and he kind of plays like a bull. He's very violent when he gets the ball in his hands. Whereas Brandon Ayuk, I think, is a little bit more graceful. Maybe he can avoid contact a little bit. Both guys are really going to be good runners of the football. They're going to be involved in the running game. Ayuk was amazing last year on those quick end arounds. So I think there's going to be a lot of attention for these guys this season. I kind of have them having the same amount of stats. They're both going to be fringe wide receiver 2s. Probably look best as your wide receiver 3. So I'm signing off on both Ayuk and Samuel. And then the backups here, Mohamed Sanu, Richie James. Excited to see if Jalen Hurd can stay healthy. He's been a lot of fun to watch in the summers, the last 2 summers, I believe. But he just had trouble staying healthy. Trent Sherfield, Jawan Jennings is another guy to watch this summer. River Crockcraft, Kevin White still hanging around. Austin Proehl, Travis Benjamin, you guys remember him? And then Austin Watkins, UDFA. And then tight ends, it's all about George Kittle. I don't need to tell you much about George Kittle. Draft him. If you're cool with taking a tight end round 2, draft George Kittle. You're gonna like it. There is a tight end advantage in fantasy football right now. If you get the Kelsey, the Kittle, or the Waller, you're gonna be just a step ahead of other people. You just got to make sure you hit on your running backs or your receivers later. So for me, this offense is really simple. You want Kittle, you want Ayuk or Samuel. I think I prefer Ayuk because he's cheaper, and I kind of like his ability to stay healthy. He's a little more elusive, I think, and less violent. And then Raheem Mostert. If you start a draft and you need somebody to be a running back 2 for you week 1, Raheem Mostert could be nice. He could also be a nice piece for your bench or for your flex. Trey Sermon's a guy that, again, I think has better value next season for us once we have some clarity on this team. He's going to have to fight with Gallman. If Jeff Wilson comes back, he's going to have to fight with him. And then we got to watch JaMychal Hasty, Elijah Mitchell. So for me, it's kind of just Raheem Mostert. I'm willing to change my mind on Sermon this summer. We'll see if he gets a lot of buzz and if he can be entrenched as a number 2. We'll see. And then for now, I'm not taking Jimmy Garoppolo. I don't know what's going to happen with him. I do think, though, if you're drafting right now, I mean, dynasty leagues have probably already been drafted. Trey Lance should be a top pick in that draft. For redraft leagues, though, just especially if you play Superflex, just hold on, just put in a little pencil at the last pick of your draft, Trey Lance, like round 16 or something. And then you just hold on to him and see what happens, because I think he's going to be a lot of fun to watch this season. So I'm excited about the San Francisco 49ers. Again, I guess the biggest takeaway is this team struggled from his quarterback play last season. Whether it was Garoppolo, Mullins, Beathard, nothing worked out. And in this season, they're at least getting a full season of Jimmy plus Trey Lance. So this is guaranteed to be better quarterback play, which it'll make the running backs better. It's going to make the receivers better. It's going to make George Kittle better. All of this is going to be a ripple effect. So I'm a big fan of the 49ers. Again, Kittle, Ayuk, Samuel, maybe Mostert, see. But a lot of fun here. NFC West is going to be a good show this season. But that's going to do it. I have one more video to do before we move on to the fun stuff. So we're going to cover the Seattle Seahawks next. If you guys are new to the channel, don't forget to subscribe, leave me a comment. And thank you so much for your time. We'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.